Now, with school being a little bit different this year, where you can either stay home or go in part-time, you have some options as to how you do it. So since I chose full remote learning, I figured I'd put together this cool setup to kind of make my school from home experience a little bit better. Let's get into it. Now keep in mind, I am calling this setup perfect because it fits my needs perfectly as a high school sophomore. You might want to upgrade some stuff if you're using more of an intense workload, or you might not even need some of this stuff if you're working with a lower workload. But this is just a setup that I have as a 10th grader in high school. So we're going to kick things off with what's right behind me. And that is the 34WL75C from LG. This is a 34-inch 21:9 ultra-wide monitor with HDR. The thing I love about this monitor is the incredible color accuracy and how it just looks really vibrant when I play HDR content. It has an ample number of ports behind it. The one thing I don't like about this monitor is the fact that it doesn't have a Thunderbolt 3 or a USB-C port in the back of it. That means it can't connect to my MacBook with a single cable. I need a converter to convert HDMI to USB-C. I also need to have another power cable with me because the monitor can't supply power to the computer. However, that's not necessary because I rarely connect my laptop to this monitor. So you might be wondering, how is macOS being ran back here? Well, that's all thanks to my Hackintosh. Yes, you read that right. This is a Mac Pro with an Intel Core i9-9900K, 32GB of RAM, a Z390 Designaire motherboard, an RTX 2070 Super, and an AMD RX 580. Now, yes, it runs Mac, but it also runs Windows, so I can obviously play my games at full capacity with the 2070 Super. This machine is an absolute powerhouse. It can handle whatever I throw at it with virtually no hiccups, and thanks to the ultra-wide monitor, I can have multiple tabs or windows open at once without having to switch between them like I would have to with a 16:9 monitor. One thing I would change about this computer is the fact that it doesn't have an Apple wireless chip, which you need in a Hackintosh for it to be Bluetooth and Wi-Fi compatible. Luckily, I have an Ethernet port in my room, so I don't really need to worry about the Wi-Fi capability, but Bluetooth would be kind of helpful so I don't have to have these wires hanging out. And those wires feed into the Apple Wireless 2 keyboard with the Corsair Harpoon mouse. The mouse is something I didn't really pay much attention to because as long as it has two side buttons for gaming, it'll work fine for everything else, but nevertheless it doesn't affect the computer's performance and it doesn't really bother me that much. One feature I do miss though is AirDrop and handoff. You don't get that unless you have an Apple supported wireless chip. It's currently running the macOS Big Sur developer beta. If you want to see a full video of me explaining some of the problems I faced while building a Hackintosh, I'll leave the link in the description below for you to check out. Sitting on top of my desk, I also have my 2019 MacBook Pro. This is the 13-inch 2019 model with two Thunderbolt 3 ports. It has the 1.4 GHz quad-core Intel Core i5 processor with 8 GB of DDR3 memory. This is in no way a slow machine. Before I started using my Hackintosh, this computer was my go-to for editing 4K footage. I edited a 30-minute 4K video with little to no stuttering on this Mac, and it was completely fine whatsoever. Again, this is still a MacBook Pro. If you're trying to do video editing, I'd strongly recommend building a Hackintosh. If you're looking to spend $1,500 plus on a MacBook just for video editing, I wouldn't say that's worth it because of the lower end specs that you get for $1,500. You're better off building a PC or even going for the higher end iMac. So what would this setup be without a proper desk, right? So this is the thigh desk from IKEA, and for $99 and to fit in this space, it's a perfect desk. And it's a very sturdy and firm desk. Attached to it, I have this command strip hook that holds my Beat Studio 3, and it's good for when I need it quickly. It's right there and I don't really need to reach far for it. For sound, I'm using the Bose Companion 2 speakers, and it really makes a difference when you're using this versus monitor speakers. Although it doesn't have a subwoofer, you really don't notice the difference until you actually hear something with the subwoofer. Here's a comparison between these speakers and the monitor speakers. On the side is my charging station. I obviously don't have my iPhone and Apple Watch connected right now because I'm using it. But you can see I'm using the AirPods 2. This isn't the one with wireless charging because I don't see the need for wireless charging as I don't use it with my iPhone. I mainly only use the AirPods when I'm on the go or I don't have access to my Beats. I like the Beats because they provide really good sound quality and they have a great design on top of that. So for the second half of last year when this whole pandemic started, I was using a regular notebook to take down all my notes. I used to print out the assignments that the teachers posted on Google Classroom and fill it out by hand. But the problem is there was an extra step included. I had to go and scan the notes and send it back to Google Classroom. Now of course that's no problem, it's not like a big deal. I could just go to the scanner and just scan it. But there's of course a way to eliminate that extra step. So I have my 2018 budget iPad that works perfectly fine with no issues. I have no reason to upgrade to the iPad Pro because if I'm ever on the go, I have my MacBook and I'm obviously home all the time, so I have my PC behind me. So a few days ago, I picked up an Apple Pencil, which works perfectly fine with this iPad, and it'll allow me to not use a notebook, so I can just take notes on my iPad, and I can mark up the documents that they send, and then send it back right from my iPad. So there's no extra step included when I need to scan my document. If you have a supported iPad, I'd highly recommend getting an Apple Pencil, as it makes note taking a lot easier. And you don't need an $800 iPad Pro to do it either. Chances are, if you bought an iPad within the last 3 years, you have an iPad that supports the Apple Pencil. Just make sure you're getting the right Apple Pencil for the right iPad. For note-taking itself, I'd recommend the app Notability. However, if you don't want to spend that $10 on a note-taking app, the Apple Notes app is completely fine and it does exactly what it's supposed to, and you really can't go wrong with an app that's included with the iPad. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed my online school setup tour. If you guys want to see more videos or want me to go more in depth with something, please leave it in the comments down below and I'll be sure to check it out. As always, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and feel free to comment, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.